Welcome to the English Explorer podcast, where learning English is fun and easy. Improve your fluency, expand your vocabulary, and gain confidence with every episode. Let's explore English together.
All right, so you guys really want to get good at speaking English, huh?
Sounds like it. Yeah, you sent in a ton of stuff on
That
this.
definitely seems like something a lot of people are interested in.
For sure, for sure.
And you've got a cool mix of stuff here, too.
Yeah, we do. We've got this transcript here with a bunch of tips.
Okay.
And then we've got Speak English with Vanessa. She's all about speaking confidently and naturally. Really interesting stuff.
Right.
And then there's Alicia Rose Johnson from Practica app.
Yeah.
She's really into this idea of speaking and thinking directly in English and
Okay.
actually using AI to practice, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And then last but not least, Georgiana from Speak English podcast.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks you don't really know a language until you can speak it.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, she's got a really interesting perspective.
So basically, we're going to take all this stuff
Right.
and try to figure out what actually works.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you can actually, speak English fluently.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, no more messing around.
Exactly. No more studying for years and not getting anywhere.
Totally. Like
Yeah.
Ness was saying.
Right.
Some people just study forever and don't see results.
Yeah. And Georgiana's even more blunt about it. She's like, all those boring exercises and grammar rules,
Yeah.
they're useless. You're not going to learn to speak like that.
It's so true. It's like, why do we even bother with that stuff?
Right. Alicia has these great examples. She's like, imagine you're trying to order a coffee.
Okay.
You've learned the word coffee from your flashcards,
Mm-hmm.
but then the barista's like, what would you like? Sugar and cream with that.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just like deer in the headlights.
Totally. I've been there.
Because it's not just about knowing individual words.
Right.
It's about understanding and responding in real time.
It's like that whole thing of knowing versus doing.
Exactly. You can know all the words in the dictionary.
Yeah.
But if you can't string them together in a conversation, what's the point?
And it's not just about vocabulary either. It's about grammar too.
Mhm.
Like Alicia says, all those grammar drills can actually make you worse.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. You get so caught up in thinking about the rules
Right.
that you forget to just speak.
Like you're trying to remember if it's past perfect or present continuous.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And while you're doing that, the moment's gone.
Totally. Like if you're lost and you need help,
Right.
you don't have time to be conjugating verbs in your head.
Exactly.
Right.
You just need to blurt out, I'm lost. Can you help me?
Exactly. And then there's the whole translation thing. Like Alicia talks about this translation trap.
Ugh, the worst. I've been there.
You know when you try to translate word for word from your native language?
Oh, yeah.
And it just sounds so weird and unnatural.
Totally unnatural. I remember trying to say, I have hunger.
Instead of,
Yeah, instead of just, I'm hungry.
right. It's like, why did I even think that was right?
Because you're thinking in your native language and then trying to force it into English.
That's exactly it. It's like you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
And it just doesn't work.
But the thing is, all of these sources, they all agree on one really important thing.
What's that?
You got to actually speak the language.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Alicia and Georgiana both hammer that point home.
Speaking practice is key.
Key. It's everything.
And Vanessa's whole approach is built around that too.
Yeah.
She's all about helping people speak confidently and naturally.
Not just knowing the rules, but actually being able to use them.
Exactly. It's about being able to communicate.
And the cool thing is, the more you speak, the easier it gets.
Right. It's like building a muscle.
Exactly. Alicia talks about this idea of building automatic responses.
Like when you practice speaking in everyday situations.
Yeah, ordering food, asking for directions, introducing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Those things start to become second nature.
You don't have to think about it so much.
Exactly. You just react.
And that's where that whole thinking in English thing comes in too.
Oh, yeah. Such a crucial point. It's what Alicia calls breaking free from the translation trap.
You can't be translating in your head every time you want to say something.
It just slows you down way too much.
It makes you sound all hesitant and choppy.
Totally. Like a robot.
Yeah. So what does Alicia suggest?
Well, she says to start with short, everyday phrases.
Right.
Can I get a coffee, please?
Makes sense.
Stuff you're going to use all the time.
Right.
And she also says to learn common English expressions.
Like idioms and stuff.
Exactly. Like break the ice or piece of cake.
Ah.
Those things don't always translate directly.
No, they don't.
So you got to learn them as their own separate chunks.
It's like learning the slang or the colloquialisms.
Yeah, exactly. It's what makes your English sound more natural.
More like a native speaker.
Right.
And then Alicia brings up this really interesting tool, AI.
AI.
For language learning?
Yeah, for conversation practice.
Oh, wow. That's actually pretty cool.
Right. It's like a low-pressure way to practice speaking.
Without feeling self-conscious. Exactly. Like no one's judging you.
And you can just focus on getting the words out.
And Alicia says that these AI systems are getting really good.
Oh, yeah.
Like they can simulate all sorts of real-life situations.
Like what kind of situations?
Like ordering food at a restaurant.
Okay.
Asking for directions. Even like meeting new people.
Look out. That's impressive.
And they give you feedback in real time.
So you can learn as you go.
Exactly. And you can even practice stuff that's relevant to your own life.
Oh, really? Like what?
Like if you're planning a trip to London or New York,
That's cool.
you can practice having conversations about that.
So it's not just like generic textbook stuff.
Exactly.
Is
It's
it?
personalized.
I like that.
Now, Georgiana from Speak English podcast, she has a bit of a different approach.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, she believes that you don't truly know a language until you can speak it.
Okay, I can see that.
And she's all about learning by feeling the language.
Feeling it.
Yeah, like intuitively, rather than just analyzing grammar rules.
Interesting. So it's more about immersion than textbooks.
Exactly. And she says that her students have become fluent in less than 6 months.
Wow. That's pretty fast.
Right. Without any grammar lessons or textbooks.
That's amazing.
So it really makes you think.
Yeah, like maybe we're overthinking this whole language learning thing.
Maybe. We're so focused on the rules
Right.
that we forget to just enjoy the process.
And just speak.
Exactly. And Georgiana's got a whole system for this.
Oh, yeah. What's it all about?
Well, she emphasizes building vocabulary through context,
Okay.
learning grammar naturally without memorizing rules, engaging with the language deeply,
Okay.
speaking automatically.
Got it. And staying motivated.
So it's like a holistic approach.
Exactly. It's about creating an environment where you're constantly exposed to English,
And you're just absorbing it naturally.
like a sponge.
I like that analogy.
And Alicia's got some great advice, too, about making speaking a daily habit.
Oh, yeah. Consistency is key.
Exactly. Even if it's just for a few minutes each day. Better than nothing.
It all adds up.
And she suggests some really practical things you can do,
Okay, like what?
like listening to native speakers and repeating what they say,
That's a good one.
using the Practica app for those daily conversation prompts.
They have those word of the day lessons,
Yeah.
right? Where they give you a word and you have to use it in a sentence.
That's good for getting you thinking on your feet.
And she also suggests keeping a conversation journal.
To write down new phrases and practice using them.
Exactly. And she even has this travel hack.
A travel hack.
Yeah, where you mentally prepare for future English-speaking situations.
Like imagine yourself ordering food at a restaurant.
Exactly. Or asking for directions.
That's smart. It's like pre-practicing.
Right. So when you're actually in that situation, you're not so nervous.
And Vanessa's all about learning real English from real speakers.
Not just textbook English,
Exactly. Like how people actually speak in everyday life.
which could be very different.
Totally.
Yeah.
So basically what we're hearing from all these experts is, what's the bottom line?
Got to prioritize speaking practice.
Number 1,
Don't wait until you feel ready. Just start speaking.
even if it's just with an AI,
Yeah, that's a great way to get started.
no pressure.
And try to think in English as much as possible.
Ditch the translator.
Break free from the translation trap.
Exactly. Build up your bank of English phrases and expressions.
So you're not always translating in your head.
Right. And don't be afraid to use AI tools,
They can be really helpful.
especially for building confidence.
And most importantly, focus on understanding and being understood.
That's what it's all about,
Don't get bogged down in perfect grammar.
especially when you're just starting out.
Just get the message across.
Fluency is about communication.
Exactly. So here's a thought for you.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about how you can immerse yourself in real-world English.
Every day, even in small ways.
Like, what's one small step you can take today to shift from passive learning to active speaking?
That's a great question to think about.
It could be anything.
As long as you're speaking.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because that's how you're going to get fluent.
no doubt about it.
So get out there and start talking.